You are watching live to the best damn Cincinnati sports podcast with a winning record for football this side of the equator. How we doing? My name's Corey Miles. We got Greg Luther. We got Bengal Dad. We got Cincy James. We got Brandon Saho with the Houday Stash. How we doing? 7-game win streak. Booyah!
Houday!
Evan.
Victory Monday.
A lot of energy.
That's right. I have a headache and a cough. That's about all you get today.
Little scary near the end, but we got the job done. Hey, don't stand on the tracks when the train is coming through to all those teams out there playing us.
Greg, I'll tell you what, that second half, the Bengals were on the tracks and the Patriot train was ripping through them.
We just got back on the track, so the last second ran them right over. Thank you to Von Bell for stripping the ball.
Undefeated.
Gardner Minshew. Brandon, how does that make you feel?
I mean, that guy slaps. Like, he's cool. I'll take it. Like, I'm not as cool as him, but I'll take the look.
All right. Well, as always, before we get too far into the show here, as we're getting started, we've got a couple sponsors to pay or get out here because they pay the bills. They don't pay me. I don't pay them. I don't know. I can't talk.
We pay people to represent us.
Yeah, we're paying people to represent us. It's the other way around. But first and foremost, James, you do such an eloquent job. It's like you got a script.
Oh,
I like you to do it.
I might.
One of our beloved sponsors, Betfred Sports. James, take it away.
All right. So as everybody knows, legal sports betting is coming to Ohio, and it's time to place your bets with an established book. Since 1967, Betfred Sportsbook has been the home to better odds, better service, and overall just the better book. Pre-register today for your chance to get a piece of more than $1 million in Fred bets, experiences, and so much more. You could get a $20 bonus bet on January 1st, get entered to win game tickets, Fred bets, and Betfred swag, receive an invite to the upcoming Betfred launch party, and get access to the Betfred welcome offer. Please use the code betfredsports.com/Ohio/Bengals12, and you're going to get registered. Thank you so much.
One of these times, I'm going to count how many times you said Betfred or Fred Bets and
hey, it's
Fred.
It's all right here, man. It's just on the phone.
Our other sponsor, and I'll take this one away because I actually love their product. Not that I don't love Betfred, but this one's near and dear to my heart. Brimminghorn Meadery. Brimminghorn. Do you like mead? Do you like wine? Do you like honey? Do you like a little bit of buzz in your life with your wine and honey? Well, go to Brimminghorn Meadery, based out of the tiny-ass state of Delaware, about the size of this on your map. They ship to most places in the United States, except you, Montana. Don't know what you did to get on their bad side, but they don't ship to you. Sorry about that. But no, honestly, great product. It's really sweet, real good, nectar of the gods, all that great stuff, and they kind of look like Vikings. I suggest Vikings fans reach out. He might sponsor you. Might be a good little partnership there. Use our code HOODAY9. You'll get 15% off an order of 2 bottles or more. More or less, it helps cover shipping because it is coming from Delaware. But you can get almost every single bottle on their site shipped to you here in Cincinnati or wherever you may be. Paris, Kentucky, if you're James. And, all the good stuff. All the good stuff that comes along with mead. I don't think half of you know what mead is, but it's time you do know. It's a great product. Use our code HOODAY9, 15% off at Brimminghorn Meadery. And tonight on the show, if you haven't seen already, with that power stash in the bottom corner, Brandon Saho. Brandon, tell the fine folks at home who you are and what you do.
I'm Brandon Saho. I'm a Bengals fan with a mustache. Before that, I was a sports reporter here in Cincinnati at WLWT for about 5 years. And left to start a mental health podcast called The Mental Game, where I interview different athletes, celebrities, musicians, actors, whoever it is, about mental health and try to make the world a better place, one mustache at a time.
All right.
This is not permanent.
It should be.
Unless they go undefeated and win the Super Bowl, then I'm stuck with it all the way through February, which I'm okay with.
You mean all the way until forever now. Because if they win the Super Bowl with that thing, woo.
Dude, forever, man.
It's not a good look. Luckily we got done shooting season 1 of the podcast before I started growing the mustache, so it's all in the bag.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this before we got too far going, and I'm sure you've answered this question a million times over the last 9 months or so. But what was your immediate reaction mentally when the where else you gonna go comment hit?
Wow, this is the first time I've been asked about that. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, you're shitting me, right?
No, I got for about 2 months after opening day, anytime I went anywhere, people didn't even say my name. They would just yell that or yell something about Phil or me. Yeah, I still can't believe that happened. I'm a huge Reds fan, diehard Reds fan. I wish it didn't happen. I had no idea that I'd be a part of a 1-19 start to the season and the worst season in franchise, or tied for the worst season in franchise history. Backstory on the look back.
Yeah.
There was no I had no idea. Our photographer, I couldn't see the monitor. I thought he was on a tight shot, a solo shot on Phil answering the question. So I was just looking back going, are we rolling on this? In my head. And then after the interview was over, I got a bunch of texts. And pictures and tweets. So I figured it out. But it's crazy. I did not expect that to happen. It sucks, man. I'm a huge Cincinnati fan, as you can see behind me. I love the Red. They're probably my favorite team growing up because I heard just about the 90 World Series I just missed it. So I heard it from my dad, my mom, my entire family. And I haven't seen a playoff series win my entire life. I'm 29. So yeah, it sucked, but it made for some interesting content for sure.
Bengal dad, huge Reds fan too.
Yeah, I got to comment on this because I didn't know that was by mistake. I applauded the hell out of you when that happened because you stood him up. I love the fact, and you maybe didn't do it on purpose, but you stood up the big bad wolf.
Well,
what a ridiculous comment by him to make.
I wanted to ask the question. I wanted to make sure that happened because it was not just the most talked about thing in Cincinnati. It was the most talked about thing in Major League Baseball the previous 3 hours. So I asked it, I think, in a really, really simple, nice way and kind of like a softball question. In New York and LA, I think it would have been a lot more of a harsh question being asked. But yeah, obviously the answer was not great.
And he doubled down on it.
He did.
All right.
It was foreshadowing for the
We'll move on. I'm sure that's haunted your life enough over the last 9 months.
I don't know about haunted, but it's been interesting being I'm trying to be not known for that, but it
says haunting right there.
That's true. What is the headline again? The 10 most haunting what?
Photos taken before disaster.
Oh, that's wild. That was actually
Brandon, I need to ask you another question.
Okay.
Because I don't know the backstory or anything. Is that why you're not with WLWT anymore?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's not the reason.
No, that had nothing to do with it. It was just just personal reasons. I kind of wanted to do my own thing, and I gotta do the job that I always wanted to do since I was a kid. And Bengals went to the Super Bowl. UC was I went to the college football playoff, and I had best year of my life professionally, but worst year personally. So once I kind of saw when I started speaking out about mental health and the small following that I have react to it, I figured, okay, I can take what I do now. I love doing interviews and storytelling and do that in a meaningful way. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. So, but no, that was not the reason.
Well, we'll use that as a smooth transition back to the mental game here.
Oh, I'm slick with it. I've done this for years.
You've got a massive, awesome list of people that you have interviewed here. I know one of the ones that you really enjoyed doing was Kate Flannery.
Yeah,
because I know you're a big Office fan.
Office, oh man.
Yeah, I'm a huge Office fan, and I know a lot of people are. So that was super cool for me to get to talk to her about mental health, and that's something that she is told me she had never been interviewed about, which I think is crazy. And so her backstory, she like most people, struggling actress, was living in New York, did some stuff on Broadway, but I guess young in her career had a boyfriend that she moved in with that was bipolar, and they took her money, and she was in a real bad spot early on in her career. And so those are stories that I don't think she's really told a lot before. So it was cool to kind of have her open up. Obviously, I asked about like random office stuff because like I had to know like what the hardest scenes were to get through or what it was like, on the last day, stuff like that. And I actually got to go to, so her and I were trying to do it in person. It got messed up. We ended up doing it in LA via Zoom, literally like 3 miles from each other. So that kind of sucked, but we got the podcast done. But afterwards, the lot for the office is still in LA. So I got to like go see like the exterior of Dunder Mifflin and the parking lot. And, that was cool. Like see the exact spot where she got hit by her car.
Oh my God.
Hit by Michael's car. It was awesome. It was super cool.
Did you learn any neat tidbits about The Office that you didn't know before?
Yes. One, well, they thought they were going to get canceled after season 1, and the 40-year-old virgin actually saved The Office, according to Kate and some other cast members, their opinions too, because Steve Carell, that was like his coming out party in Hollywood. I guess like Will Ferrell and Jim Carrey and a couple other big A-list, comedians, actors came to the premiere, and the whole Office crew was there. When they saw that, they go, "Oh, like we might make it with this guy. Like he's gonna be big time." And they were right. I mean, some of the funniest scene, the hardest scene to get through was, I guess, if you guys remember the Christmas episode where Michael and Phyllis are competing as Santas. Apparently it took like they just could not get through that scene because Steve Carell was acting like Kevin was 4,000 pounds and like dragging his leg like it fell asleep, and they're cutting. It took them like dozens and dozens of takes to get that out. But yeah, no, I learned a lot of cool Office stuff, and we talked about it on there too. But the cool thing with this is that because the topic's mental health and it's like a real genuine thing, I would say most or all. I mean, I have a relationship with some of the people I interviewed this season, but even her and I for about 20 minutes off camera afterwards just kind of talked about life and how you navigate certain things. And so it's been super cool to get to talk to those people about that too.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
you've got, you talked with Sam Hubbard, I think was first, Ricky Williams. You've talked with Joe Thomas, all these guys. And, I was watching, and seems like everybody's got their own kind of coping mechanism, if you will. And I hate to use that phrase, but that's the best thing I can come up with right now. Yeah. But, I think Joe Thomas said yoga was his big thing. Obviously, Ricky Williams, marijuana. So
clearly.
What do you mean, obviously?
That's what he did in the NFL too there, bro.
I have no idea if it's real or not, but I always laugh because it pops up every year or two where you see the headline for Ricky Williams quote, "I got high and forgot I wasn't supposed to get high." It just always makes me laugh.
Right. But so now that you've gone through the whole, you went and got help. What is your coping mechanism now that you've gone through that? It's not alcohol now.
Yeah.
What is that for you now?
Well,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I went through some really tough times with drinking way too much, partying way too much. When I felt alone or just being kind of in the wrong crowd, stuff like that. Now, and it's always been for me, music, like just listening to music has been like, I just like getting in my car and just driving around listening to music. That's just how I blow steam off. Or like if I work out, obviously play music, or I'm just around the house. Like I probably listen to music all day long. Another thing is just like if I'm having a bad day, and I might not be going to the Red Stadium this year, but like I'll just go to a random Reds game, or I'll go to a college game. I'm the type of weird. Well, I go to Reds games by myself just to like chill out, feel better, like enjoy. Like I love sports. So yeah, I think music and sports are kind of my two things, but you learn a lot when you like go to a place like the Linder Center, Hope and Mason, and you kind of have to reevaluate, your whole life. So like working out's another thing too, even though I need to do it way more than I do. So those three probably the main ones.
Brandon, you talk about listening to music. Do you have any type of music you like to listen to, or is it just like a mixture?
I am big R&B, so I like kind of that soul music that hits you. Like a lot of stuff about because I went through a lot of like relationship trauma stuff. So any type of music about, breakups or this or that, or what this person, this woman did to me, stuff like that, it just hits me right there. But I like country. I like hip hop, R&B, soul. But yeah, mainly R&B is probably the main one.
Are you a Freddie Mercury fan? I say that because of the mustache. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, does Freddie Mercury have a mustache? That I need to look him up now.
He did. It's just
He doesn't anymore.
no.
Well, Jesus.
All right. Well, just to be clear, I didn't know who it was, so I didn't know.
That's why I said
The lead
Freddie
singer.
Mercury was the lead singer for Queen.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. I just didn't know the name.
Sorry,
He doesn't anymore. Wow,
I am
Dad.
10 years older than you, so I guess. No, I'm just teasing. What was it like talking with Ricky Williams? And I know you talked about being a bitch, but then sensitive man came up.
Yeah.
Talk about that whole little interaction there, because he kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah. No, he actually had a pretty good answer. So the backstory on that was like, oh my gosh, I can't wear that like beater shirt, but I had those color jeans on earlier today. So just all I need is a shirt.
I shared the wrong one. That one's bigger.
You've got your Halloween outfit now.
I do. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Uncanny resemblance.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take the Minshew one more than that, but
Right.
Oh, Freddie's a god, man. All right.
I know. Sorry, there was no hate there. I can't rock that look as well as he can. Yeah, the being a bitch thing was, so I was in like a class at the Leonard Center Help, which is a mental health facility here in Cincinnati, and they were asking about like, I wasn't really talking like my first 2 days there, and because I was like in shock of like being in a mental hospital, for being completely honest. And so they're like, well, why are you afraid to like open up? Or I'm like, because I just don't want like to be a bitch. Like, that's why I've never like, I've been a sensitive guy, but I've never like, I don't know. That's why I feel like people are afraid to open up. And I was one of those same people too. And the instructor was like, that's the problem. You're part of the stigma surrounding like men's mental health. And I like, honest to God, had no idea that was a thing, like a stigma around men's mental health, because I've always been a bitch. And that's when, yeah, she's like, yes, see, that's the problem. So I said that story to Ricky while we were doing the podcast. And I went to ask him like, so when did you start to realize that it was okay? And I didn't say being a bitch. And he goes, you mean being a bitch? And I'm like, and I just died laughing. But it turned out to be a great conversation about how he did all these bitchy things, whether it be, meditation or drinking wine, I think was one of them, and doing this and that and whatever. But it's funny, like, and he pointed out how he thought he was just like ahead of his time. Like, and there's people that are like that. And you look back at like kind of the things that were going on, and, I'm not, the biggest weed smoker, but when it comes to he's a very philosophical guy, which not that I wasn't expecting that. That's just not like the Ricky Williams that I saw on TV when I watched SportsCenter. So it was cool to kind of peel back that curtain and have him talk about like, breaking stereotypes. He felt like he didn't belong wherever he was at. Like when it came to football, like he's a tough guy and this big, strong running back, but he really was a bitch. He just used the football part to cover it up, which is what he talked about a lot in there.
And he was wearing his helmet in the interviews and
yeah. So he wore his helmet in the interviews, and I agree, Amy. I agree. That's why we're doing what I'm doing. I had somebody at like Skyline tonight when I walked in, like recognized me, and she actually, I'll guess she's probably in her young 20s, and she just said, like, whispered to me, she's like, just so you know, like I was in the Leonard Center Hope too. Like I used to like harm myself, and I had to go there, and so I like listening to this because it like helps me relate, and I know you've been there. So that was cool. Like, so comments like what Amy just said, and then what the server tonight at Skyline said are exactly why I'm doing this. But the helmet for him was like all these crazy headlines about he failed a drug test and he's this and that about his character. He was just tired of the media like running the narrative for him. And back then, like it's not that long ago. It's 15 years ago. 15, 18 years ago. But like players didn't have like social media to defend themselves,
Right.
or they didn't have a lot of, there wasn't a lot of spaces for them to be able to state their case more than just, the 15-second soundbite you heard on SportsCenter or on the news. So he wore his helmet because it kind of gave him like that protective shield of like you're not going to get these answers that you want out of me. Like you already have your story written about me doing drugs and doing this, whatever. Like I'm not going to, look you in the eye and give you that satisfaction when you really don't know the real me.
Back then, people had to do like interviews with Barbara Walters or something like that just to be able to get their narrative out there.
Yeah. Now they can do it on opening day.
Right.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
No, it was a great joke.
Brett Ashley.
There's not a whole lot of respect for Phil in this room. So.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's the whole panel.
But no, I appreciate it on a personal level. I mean, probably a month and a half ago, I had a little bit of an episode where I was not really not wanting to be around anymore. We'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And when I kind of finally, snap back to reality, it was you were one of the first few things I thought of, and I gave the Linder Center a call. So, I mean, I've got some personal experience with that. I haven't really gone too much further with the Linder Center thing than just kind of reaching out and giving a call, but at least I was able to kind of put that foot forward. And I mean, you were definitely part of that for sure. So, and just, even if it's just one person on our podcast, I appreciate it. It's not falling on deaf ears for sure.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's been kind of the cool thing is that, I had people that I, saw kind of go get help or take time off from work or whatever it was. And so that's why I'm just trying to like keep the train rolling, if you will. And I hope that, things have got better and you've been able to kind of tackle that or use whatever coping mechanism or anything that helps you, whether,
not a disaster.
Well,
it comes and goes in waves, but I'm good right now. But I know, I kind of know the warning signs for me when the deep end's coming, and my wife watches out for it too. So we've got a system down. So but it's very much appreciated the work that you do, truly.
Thank you. And that the main thing is just I'm just trying to be like that bridge so that like exactly what you said, calling the Linder Center or reaching out to a therapist or something like that. Like this isn't therapy what I'm doing. Like it can be therapeutic and it's like meant to help people, but the goal is like, to kind of be the, stick in your back or, nudging you the right way to go, oh, okay, maybe I should do this. So,
the other aspect of everything that we're talking about is from like my point of view. I don't suffer from any of this. And when I have a situation where my son is dealing with it and he talks to me about it, I'm lost. I am a lost ball in the high weeds and I'm scared to death. I'm just going to be that tough guy and say, rub some dirt on it, shake it off. And that I know those are the wrong answers. But it's really tough from my end when I know somebody's reaching out and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, I can speak to that because, my dad and I are best friends and always have been. But there was like the night that I was like, I called, I called my girlfriend to like tell her that I was going to commit suicide and that I was out. And like, thankfully she called my family and my cousin came and got me. And then we're all sitting there talking and like, my dad just, kind of had the same response that you just said. And we kind of got into it a little bit. And it was just like, he ended up, we ended up meeting in the middle, and then he, saw how bad I was, shape I was in. And it wasn't that he didn't, love me or care about me. It just, like you said, he couldn't really understand what I was feeling because whenever, he handled problems different, which is fine. Every person's different. So I think not that like I can really give advice on it because I'm not a therapist, just preface it with that. But like, just meeting in the middle and listening, like even just listening, even if you don't understand, does way more than what you can imagine. Like and that's where like now, instead of people yelling stuff about the opening day interview at me, when I go out. Like people will say something about like their mental health and tell me what had happened to them. And it's like, it can be overwhelming for me sometimes to talk to that many people about emotional things, but just listening for 5-10 minutes can go a long way, even if there's nothing you can do. Obviously, your son is a different story because, your family, and he's going to lean on you in a different way. But even just listening and then trying to meet in the middle with some understanding, it's, I've been through it personally, so I get it. But luckily we ended up, we're able to resolve it and see things in mostly the same way. And, he helped me a lot throughout my stuff.
Good.
Really good. Oh, I do want to put this up here. There is an autocorrect on there, though. The very last word is appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not alone, and there's a lot of people out there that can relate. Very appreciated. There's always somebody that will listen. And if you remember that, I always put out there all the time, DM me anytime you want. I don't care. Shoot me a message. Let me know if you need something. I'm here. Like luckily I'm pretty good mentally right now. My family's doing well. Job's doing well. All that kind of stuff. Got a lot of great friends, but there's times when everybody needs to talk to somebody.
And I don't want that to sound like a like false bravado. James will 100% answer you any time of day. Whether it's about mental health or sports. I don't know how many times I've called him at like 12:30 at night and just said something stupid and hung up the phone really quick. He is 100% responsive.
Yes.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
So like he means that 100%.
He does.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But you also have to have, like, James, for someone like you have to have people that you can lean on, too. You can't always be that person that's, receiving everything. And then also, like, you got to have, and I'm sure you do. I'm just, anyone watching it, like, it's also tough on, like, people's mental health if they're the one, dealing with everyone else's problems and issues, and they don't have anyone to, like, express theirs to, which is why therapy is great. Because you have a non-biased person who you don't know. Like, my therapist is the complete opposite of me. She's an older woman that hates sports, had no idea who I was, and she literally changed my life. And as a reason why I started doing the podcast, I started the podcast because I brought it up in a therapy session 6 months ago. So, or I don't know, however many months ago it was. But so I'm a big therapy advocate, or just talking, like, whatever's comfortable for you. The toughest thing is, like, to realize when you need, like, more help than just, calling a buddy, or you can't wait for a therapy appointment. Like, I got to the point of, like, I knew when I woke up after, like, taking some pills and writing a goodbye letter that, like, I physically could not take care of myself mentally or physically, that I had to go check in somewhere. So, but not everybody has that willpower. So that's why it's important to have, a friend or a parent that can see those, the warning signs like we talked about, and then you're able to kind of be that helping hand.
Yeah. And it seems like in everybody that you interviewed, for the most part, seems like a therapist was kind of a go-to for them.
Yeah. And I think everyone kind of has the same story of, it took a while. Like, for me, it took 12 years, and I'm someone that's always, like, thought of myself as someone that's talked about mental health to a certain extent, because I've always had issues with it since I was, like, 14. But that's the most common things. People just wait and put it off. But like you said, these people that have these high profile jobs, or athletes, musicians, whatever they are, they try to make therapy just as important, if not more important, than meal prepping or working out or vocal exercises, whatever it is. Therapy's been, it's not, I don't want to say it's not the answer for everyone, because it really, really helps, but maybe a version of it. You have to, every therapy, every medicine doesn't work. I had to try 3 or 4 different medicines before I found medicine that helped me kind of deal with my ups and downs and just keep me level headed. Therapist, I think it was my second one, but that's something Kate Flannery talked about. Like, not every therapist, you got to do your shopping, I think is how she phrased it. but you end up finding one that's right for you.
Right. And my wife actually, she has a question for you. Do you think there's less of a stigma
Oh,
surrounding
this is your
mental health?
wife?
Yeah, that's my wife. Yeah.
Where's she at? Why isn't she in the room?
Oh, she's in the other room.
Okay, all right. She's
We
not
don't
allowed.
allow her on camera.
Okay, all right. I'm just,
But she said, do you think there's less of a stigma surrounding mental health now than when you first started actually talking about it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a lot of time to, kind of break that all the way, if you can break it all the way. I think the real change I saw was because everyone was suffering more than ever, like as a collective world, was when COVID started. 3 years ago, that was the first time I had really seen people talk out about it in masses. And so that's kind of when I started seeing it. But like, when events happen, like when I, put out this letter in April or whenever it was about me being suicidal and checking into a mental hospital, like that sparked conversation. Or like the one big shocker I had, and everyone had 2 weeks ago when, from the Ellen show, Twitch died by suicide. And it's like, that's the class that like everyone started talking about it then, but it's like, we have to talk about it all the time because this is a guy who has all the money he could want, beautiful wife, beautiful children, family, great job, looks the happiest you could ever be. And then has a day where, that happens. And so the more you talk about it, the more people realize that it is normal and it happens. And so that's why, like, no matter how shitty of a day I'm having or, if I'm out and maybe a little too buzzed, like I don't stop to not have if someone asks me about something, like I'm going to talk about it just because like it's going to help. And so that's the cool thing is like a lot of people say no for interviews, like when you're just a sports reporter. And I get some no's here too, but like once they realize my backstory and what I'm trying to help accomplish, then I think a lot more people are willing to speak up because then it's going to help other people get help too.
Yes. And you're well connected with the job that you had, but to, some of these people that you're getting onto the show, it's like, how did that happen? Like, were you just putting out a whole bunch of feelers trying to get people, or was it just they heard about it? Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah. So I had, it is crazy to me that like, I don't know, I was sitting, like I went and sat down with Ricky Williams and talked about mental health in Manhattan Beach, like a month and a half ago, like that, or 2 months ago, whenever we shot that. Some of it's like me reaching out to people I know, like obviously I know Sam Hubbard really well from covering him for 4 years here. Ricky I just knew he spoke out about mental health and reached out to his manager, and his manager hit me back and said like, Ricky loves the idea. He wants to do it. Kate Flannery and I followed each other on Twitter for a while for some reason. And I'm sure I tweeted something stupid about The Office 5 years ago. And so I just messaged her and she, messaged me back within a couple of days and said, yeah, I'll do it. Absolutely. So it's just either I'm a person away from these people, like working in the media side of things, or I just know how to get in contact with them now so I can make those connections. And like I said, because it's not like, hey, what was The Office like? Or, hey, what was the NFL like? Sure, we talk about those things, but it's also how they relate to mental health. Once they see the mission behind it, they're really open to talking. And even the no's, like some high profile people have told me no, but they love what I'm doing. They just couldn't do it at that time. And then who knows, maybe a year from now, a couple of those high tier guys will end up coming on, or whoever they are.
Well, speaking of a year from now, what kind of guests do you have lined up for the next season?
Haven't got there yet. I have some feelers out because we're about halfway through this season. We're doing 15. I think this is going to be week 7 tomorrow, maybe. But I mean, top list people Joe Burrow is one of them, especially with what he's doing now with his foundation and it benefiting, children's mental health. So, I have a relationship with Joe. It's not great, just because his first year and a half was all COVID. So I'd like to ask him at some point, probably in the off season, which kind of lines up with the second season. Votto and I have talked about it, and he respectfully declined for now, which I totally get. That's his thing. He just didn't really want to open up yet about everything, which is cool. I respect him a lot for having that conversation with me about that, and him and I have known each other since I've been here, so that was cool. Trying to think outside the realm, like I would love to get Steve Carell. That would be incredible as a big Office fan, and just I don't know. I just think he's one of the greatest entertainers ever. Like he's so good at what he does. Usher would be super cool. I'm trying to think of like athletes that I haven't got.
Do you have Kevin Love lined up yet?
Yeah, so I do not. We tried. I tried to get that before the NBA season started, and we went back and forth a little bit, but it just kind of fell through. Yeah. So the hope is like, and this happened already with one was like Dane Cook. I reached out to Steve Carell's manager, I think it was, and they told me no. But then like whenever I talk to somebody, I'm like, hey, if you know anything, anyone that wants to come on, let me know. Like 3 hours later, Dane Cook's manager reached out and said Dane wanted to do it because he had heard about it from this other. And so it's like,
wow.
Okay, so that's what. So he was supposed to be on this season. Something came up when we were supposed to meet in LA, so that got canceled. Hopefully it'll be on the end of this season or start of next season. But that's the hope, is that like, the more and more this hopefully grows and we market it and promote it, that someone like Kevin Love will see, Joe Burrow went on it or Ricky Williams went on it, and I want to go tell my story because I see what it's doing for other people. That's the hope, is that it kind of spreads like that naturally.
Yep. I hope it spreads big time.
like we said, we all appreciate it, whether it's someone that needs a boost of confidence to take the right step, or if it's like my dad where he's just not quite sure what to say at times. We all really, really appreciate it. There's nothing more important on this planet, in my opinion, than keeping your mentals all in order one way or the other. So thank you for your time, for all that. You want to talk about some Bengal stuff?
Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Hey. Gosh. Wait, so are you two father-son?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not this one.
Bengal dad and Santori,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
me and James are just the adopted people. We're just adopted.
Yeah. No,
I feel like I'm part of the family now. So.
That's my dad. He was supposed to go to LaSalle and he said no, so you can be mad at him.
Where'd you go, Elder?
Where did I go?
Yeah. You were supposed to go to LaSalle.
I went to Northwest High School.
Let's go. So you kept the Northwest Local School District, all right?
Yes, the Knights.
I went to Fairfield.
I went to Madeira.
No one cares, right. James. Go Big Mo!
Go Mustang.
Did Mueller end up winning state this year, or did they lose early?
I have no clue. Well, once I got out of coaching, I turned it off completely.
All right, well.
I feel terrible.
They were really, really good this year.
I know they were. I went to 1 or 2 LaSalle games, and it did not go great this year. I leave and it falls apart. That's all I'm going to say. But no, let's get on to some football stuff. Greg got mad at me for saying this. I said they escaped with a win. Greg says, how can you say they escaped? I said, because I think they were playing a bad team and they almost lost. To me, that's an escape.
They're not a bad. This goes back to the grilled cheese sandwich, Brandon. They're not a bad team, but they're not down like where the Broncos are. But they're not a high team. They're trying to get into playoffs. Brandon, can you agree they're like a grilled cheese sandwich?
There's different levels to this, Greg. There's bad and then there's horrendous. Denver doesn't know what way is up. Like they're not even a football team right now.
Right, I know.
They're great value. They are the Walton family for sure.
I would say they're a very average team this year.
That's fair.
Yeah.
They're an average team with a terrible quarterback. That's how I see it.
Who apparently
he's a dirty quarterback.
Yeah, my God.
It was also an unfortunate event too.
there's now. Granted, there was an impeccable amount of wacky shit that happened in that game, seemingly one after the other. But there's wacky stuff in every game. My thing is, you're up 22-0. They were already leaving points on the field. You should have blown them out of the water. That should have been like shooting fish in a barrel. That should not have been that close. And quite frankly, the Patriots had control of the ball, control of the clock. They're at the 5-yard line, and the Bengals were on their heels and needed an absolute remarkable play to get out of that way, and they got it. So I'll give credit where credit's due to the defense there for, making something happen. But my God, Patriots had that game in their hand.
Good teams find a way.
They find.
And here's what I'll say. Good teams, like if the Patriots were a good team, they'd have found a way to pull that one out.
Yep.
That tells me they're not a good team.
It tells you they're average.
They're not a bad team, though.
They're not good.
But I think, because I think Zach Taylor said it after the game. He's like, we were up 22 points. We need to be able to put them away being up 22 points. We should have put them away.
Well,
And that's something we got to be better with.
You'll put them away.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. Like, they've got to – I think they can learn from that.
I don't think
– I know you say they can't because it's so late in the season, but
I don't think that they didn't try to put them away. They couldn't close the deal. You got the drop by T, the drop by Chase, Burrow overthrowing Irwin by inches. They had so many plays. If one freaking play goes right, that the game's over with 20 minutes to go.
If Irwin is T. Higgins, that's a touchdown because of the height.
Well, no, James, I don't know if you remember this. There was an after show. You and I joined the other Bengals and Bruce one time. I believe one guy said they need to lose a game. That way they can say to themselves, hey, this can happen. We need to reevaluate. But I didn't necessarily agree with that. But in a way, even though we won the game, can you all agree they should treat this game as a loss?
Yes.
You treat it as a humbling experience, for sure. And I had talked to Dad about this. I don't know how many times over the last couple of weeks. I didn't want them to lose a game, but I thought it would have been good for them to drop one when maybe it wouldn't hurt them as bad. I'm one of those people to where I believe in do factors. And in my mind, I'm like, at some point this win streak's going to end and they're due for a loss. I don't want them due for a loss starting the second week of January, or I'll be really, really timid.
No, I think this was the perfect scenario. Because they didn't have to take a loss. It didn't hurt them in the playoffs, and it did humble them. It made them realize they're not all that in a bag of chips, and they got to do a little bit more than just throw the helmet out on the field.
Yeah.
I think it had the same effect.
Hey, Brandon, I have a question to ask you. Have you ever seen the movie Zombieland?
I have not. I'm also not a huge movie guy.
Okay.
Every week with Zombieland.
There's a scene in the Zombieland, how to kill a zombie. You shoot the zombie twice because you shoot him once. Just when you think you have him killed, he could still come and kill you. The old saying is double tap.
Yep.
You got to make sure the nail's in the coffin.
There you go. That's the old call from Dan Lapp.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Coffin nails.
Coffin.
Bam. Bam.
What's your thoughts, Brandon, on just the game in general? What do you think?
Well, I was like super excited, obviously, in the first half, going up 22-0, and they were just rocking and rolling. Burrow had I think he set a franchise record for 28 completions and a half or something like that. So it was incredible to watch. But then it was just the mistakes after that they shot themselves in the foot, whether it be, the miscommunication from Joe to Jamar on the pick six, Jamar's fumble.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd not going all effort, which is really weird for TV because I've seen him like that Miami game in the Burrow Bowl. He's crawling while he's cramping
one leg
down. It was crazy to me. But I agree that it was a humbling experience. Maybe it's exactly what they needed. I don't know. I would still rather go out there and kick ass and win by 40, but
I would too, but
I think it's not the worst thing in the world. And now 2 games left, just keep rolling.
Well, no, I want to point one thing out. This was seen on tape. When that guy got the interception for the touchdown, did you all see Mac Jones? Did he take a cheap shot at Eli Apple?
Yeah, he did.
He's going to get fined. It's in the rule book. You can't do that.
Fine for that.
It's not like he tried to hit him blindside. He tried to take his knees out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he threw his shoulder, rolled his head back. I mean, he went. That was a cut.
It was blown dead too. That's the other thing that was weird about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was dog shit.
Yes.
I mean, if
It
we're gonna
was.
be honest about it, it was dog shit. Like that's
And
there's
He's
no
gonna
reason.
get fined.
If they would have thrown a flag on that play when he did that, that may have just changed the whole complex of it too. Because I don't think they'd have scored a touchdown at that point.
no.
They'd
What
had
did-
the ball back at like the 40 after that 15-yard penalty.
What did you guys see at halftime? They were even saying, I put Zappy in right now because Mac Jones wasn't doing a dang thing, and he was just getting lucky with these passes. When he threw up that Hail Mary, it was Brandon Stokely all over again for us, pretty much.
Right.
Brandon Stokely.
I was
they
at
didn't get to run down the end line and
Yeah.
waste a bunch of time though.
No, I mean it's blatantly in the rule books on a change of possession mid play, which turnover or punt. You're not allowed to block like that. It's illegal to block like that. It's actually illegal to throw that block in general. And then even if you aim at the shoulder chest area, it's illegal to block that way in that scenario. That entire situation was just bad. And this is going to be very antiquated, but I'll go ahead and say it. If Vontez Burfict does that,
Oh, yeah.
the entire league office is exploding right now.
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where if you change the uniform a little bit, maybe put a different player in that scenario, everybody loses their mind. So if it's not good for one person, it's not good for anyone. I don't care if it's a quarterback. I don't care if you can claim, oh, he's unathletic trying to make a block. I really don't give a shit. You don't do it.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. Especially when you're 15 yards behind.
There's no reason for him to make a block.
No.
He's 15 yards behind the play.
The play was 15 yards in front of him.
When he's not blocking for his own guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We used to have that happen every once in a while when I was coaching, where you'd have a kid who's a little pissed off and wants to take the cheap shot when he knows the play's over, and we would rip them aside. We're like, you're not even involved in the play anymore. What are you doing? Like, all eyes, as soon as those guys are breaking on the sideline and there's only one ref that needs to make sure the guy actually scores instead of pulls it to Deshaun Jackson and drops the ball, everybody else's eyes are watching that giant herd of players to see if there's any BS. It's going to get called every time.
Well, not every time.
Well, it's going to get seen. It got seen. He's getting fined.
Oh, goodness.
So how confident are we in the offensive line now that Collins is out and we have Adeniji in?
I'm fine.
I'll put it this way. It's still better than last year's offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Collins has not played at an exceptional level this year. He's been okay. And Adeniji's been okay when he's been in. I know there's a vastly different experience level. And maybe that comes back to bite him. But, Adeniji did play in the playoff run last year. It's not like he's inexperienced, and his tape has looked far better this year than it did last year.
I think Collins was probably the weakest link on that offensive line.
He may have been.
Come in has done a good job.
I mean, Adeniji, 2 years in the system now with Frank Pollock, having the same coach, same system, better supporting cast around him. It's not like it was last year where you had 4 duds out there. Now you've got 4 solid guys. Say what you will about Jonah, but he's solid most of the time. He has hiccups every once in a while, but for the most part, he's an average starting left tackle. Volson's done exceptional for a rookie. Karras is what he is. Kappa is what he is. And you've got one guy on the edge who you can give help, who knows the system and has come in at times and played some extended period during the year when Jonah's gone down or Collins has gone down, and he's been okay. My only concern is what's after Adeniji, if he goes down or if Jonah goes down. Now we have an issue there because Adeniji was good depth, but now you need a depth for Adeniji.
Andrew Whitworth.
Yep. Thanks.
No.
I'm just playing Twitter right now. That's all.
I know you are, but I'm tired of playing Twitter with that.
Hey, I'm having fun with it. I put it out there too. Why not?
Do this.
It's fun.
He said he was 1 win away behind Jeff Saturdays, the all-time winning lineman, and he says that's irritating him. Who am I to say no if he wants to come here?
No.
What do you think, Brandon?
I think it would be the ultimate sports story if Big Wit came back, starts, and wins the Super Bowl, and then walks away into the sunset with the Bengals. But I don't think it's very likely that it's going to happen. Not only is it like the fact that, I mean, he's done after this Thursday with Amazon. I think he's still probably a really, really, really good offensive lineman if you put him out in pads and a helmet. But he's had a year off. It's the biggest games of the year now. And there's also some like divorce papers between LA. And then also you got to think about the baggage with the Brown family with how everything went down. Like it's not
everybody forgets about that part. It did not end peacefully.
It ended bad.
It's the same people in charge. It's a different head coach, but it's the same people in charge.
I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I just like
there would have to be some mending of ways. And I put this out there today, and I think people just wanted to ignore it. Witt has not gone without his shots to the front office over the last year when he's had some national public forums. He said a couple things that weren't the best. So it's like, and I understand that, and I understand the frustration coming from him, but people are like, oh, come back. I'm like, he's taken shots at this team since he's left recently.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any interest in coming back. I really don't.
He's liking tweets, though. That's what everyone says.
Yes, he is.
Great.
He liked it on that Thursday night game when he was here.
Sure did.
Willie Anderson likes tweets, too. Are we going to bring him back?
I think it's fun. That's why I put it out there. There's no way it's going to happen, but it's fun. It's
hey, but we can dream, right?
A girl can dream, Greg. A girl can dream. With that being said, let's give out some game balls. Zach Taylor likes to give out like 40 a game, so we like to give out 5. We all 4 of us give out 1, then we'll give Brandon a chance. Cincy James, you start. Game ball.
Oh, goodness. Okay. My game ball, you think I'd be prepared for this. My game ball is going to go to Joe Burrow. It's the easiest one, I think. 375 yards, 3 touchdowns. I believe, the highest graded quarterback of the week out of anybody, if I'm not mistaken.
He was.
And I mean, he's still doing Joe Burrow stuff. Those 2 interceptions weren't really on him. I know they count, but they weren't really on him. And you could see Joe Burrow on the sideline getting in with Tyler Boyd a little bit. He was a little animated compared to normal. Normally, he's just, okay, that sucked, and goes back and sits down. He actually talked with Tyler Boyd, and you could see some head movement and some what looked like not very nice words in a Joe Burrow way, because I don't think he'd say, hey, you suck. You know, I don't think he would do it that way. I think he would be more like, hey, man, you're not supposed to stop on the route. You know, I think
we'll put it this way.
But go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say Burrow had 2 interceptions, and Pro Football Focus marked him for 1 turnover-worthy play.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I'm not quite sure which one they marked. Was it where Tyler Boyd stopped his route, or was it where Jamar Chase was on this wrong page?
Right.
Or not on the same page as Joe, I should say. Because obviously there's some reading that goes on between both of them on that play. I don't know.
Right. And Burrow was 40 of 52, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, he was 80%, basically 400 yards, and
yes,
he had a 4th touchdown that was dropped. So
he was slicing and dicing. So I'm going to go Burrow. Brandon, what do you think?
This is going to be an obvious one, I think. But Trent Irwin, I mean, 2 tutties, should have had a 3rd. Like, this guy is, it's funny is we used to joke about about 3 or 4 years ago, me and another reporter for the Bengals, covering the Bengals, we would joke about what's Trent Irwin doing here? Because in not a bad way. Obviously he had a good college career. He keeps making the practice squad, but it's like this guy looks like he should be hanging 10 out in California. And so I give him a lot of credit. His story is awesome. The fact that kid stuck with it and now has touchdowns in 3 games.
He has more touchdowns than Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster combined.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but that was so cool to see him, and the contested catches he makes, even when they're not touchdowns. I mean, he's got such great focus on the ball. I mean, I'm so happy for him. So that's my game ball. Easy decision there.
Do you think the Miami Dolphins get mad at that when they look back and realize that they cut him and they see what he's doing right now and how they're kind of struggling a little bit? Not that they're struggling at receiver, but just the case of it.
That was payback for taking Clayton Fegelman from us.
The Fedge.
I like it.
Okay.
Greg,
Game ball.
Okay. Call me crazy, but I don't care. And we were talking about this before the show. I got to go Drew Chrisman. That one punt he punt Marcus Jones. Don't let him return the ball. That was just a perfect punt. I think he had another good one, but that one punt he made that literally sealed the game. Literally, that was awesome. Because Kevin Huber, Brandon, I think you and I can agree. Kevin Huber, Bearcat guy, hometown guy. It was sad to see him go, but it just had to be done. We all knew deep down inside it had to be done. And Chrisman has just been doing a great job ever since, and he proved that again against New England.
Bengal Dad.
Von Bell.
Yep.
All right.
They lose the game if Von Bell doesn't punch that ball out.
Yes, you're right.
All right. I'm just going to go ahead and give like 15 of them out to the defense for whoever was out there.
Yeah.
So I know they gave up 18 points, right? They gave up a fluke bomb on 3rd and a country mile where they played it correctly by batting the ball down, and a guy just happened to be there. I know I say bad luck doesn't really exist in sports. I think a lot of it is preparation versus execution, but that one's bad luck.
Yep.
They held Ramondre Stevenson to like 38 yards?
Yeah.
They forced the fumble early in the game that nobody really remembers because it rolled out of bounds, and then they got him to fumble late in the game.
Yeah.
They did just about everything right defensively. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way, but they did everything just about as fundamentally sound and where you're supposed to be as you possibly can. Eli Apple didn't give up a single yard. They didn't give up anything on the ground. I was very happy with the defense. I know they gave up 3 touchdowns or whatever it ended up being, but 18 points, that's not enough to win games. Call it what it is.
I'm just curious, when you're in NFL draft, where did you have Marcus Jones ranked? Because I know Bengals he was kind of rumored to go to the Bengals 2nd or 3rd round. Where did you have Marcus Jones?
Marcus Jones. He the short guy for New England, right? He comes out of Houston, correct?
Yeah, correct.
I had a 2nd or 3rd round grade on him.
Okay. Would you have taken him over CTB in the 2nd round?
No.
Great.
Strictly due to height.
Gotcha.
I can't stand short corners. I know sometimes they're really, really good, but just watching what T. Higgins did to him, he abused him a few times.
Took advantage of that.
That's enough for me to not – I would say not draft you, but enough for me to draft somebody else.
Gotcha.
And come back to the ball. I mean, there are some things you can't teach. You can't teach Marcus Jones' speed. You can't teach his ability with the ball in his hands. You can't teach the kick return. You can kind of teach technique with DBs, but a lot of it comes natural athleticism, and you tweak it as you need to. The thing you can't teach is 6'4".
No, you can't.
So unfortunately, that's what I wouldn't say it takes him off my board, but it would have been the back end of the 3rd. It's a 2nd round talent with a 4th round body. So you kind of got to find a sweet spot.
Well, to piggyback off what you were saying with the defense, I think they gave up like 288 yards total.
Yeah, it's not much.
And Ramondre Stevenson, who had been really well or been playing really well this season, 30 yards. And it was like 2.2 yards a carry or something.
Yeah, they've done an impeccable job at some of the best running games in the league. Look what they did to Henry. Look what they did to Stevenson. They've done it a few times. Look what they did to Chubb a few weeks ago. And not to go all the way back with it, but it is the same group, same unit, same front, same coach. But Dalvin Cook didn't do shit to him last year in the first week.
Yeah.
They've had an excellent job at game planning for some of these high-profile running backs. And if you're one-dimensional, you're in trouble. So, I give 15, 20 game balls, whoever it was, everybody out there that took a snap on defense gets one for me.
Well, Brandon, what do you think about since you're not on Wednesday? Wednesday we normally do keys to the game for the game coming up. What's your keys to the game for the Bills game on Monday Night Football?
Play the same half, both halves.
Yep.
As long as it's a good half.
Yeah, the good
As
half.
as long as it's a good half.
They played a consistent, horrible 4 quarters. We checked
Yeah,
the
yeah,
box in the Saho book.
Not that. I mean, I think the defense has to just keep playing to who they are. I mean, obviously you have some injuries that hurt them, but like just Trey Hendrickson's the perfect example. He's out there in a cast with a broken wrist. This team, like, they don't care if there's bad luck. They just keep making the play. Like the bad luck on the interception or on the well, it should have been a bat down on 3rd and 27.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out to be that Hail Mary crazy touchdown. Like they didn't hang their heads. They came down and went out and won the game with Von Bell knocking out the football. They're just, I think that's the biggest key for me is the defense playing to who they are, because they've shown it time and time again. They can play with anyone in the NFL and they can make plays when it matters. And the depth, like you talk about the performance they had. I know it's not the same Brady and it's not, a crazy electric offense like it had been in the past in Tampa Bay, but like 4 turnovers against Tom Brady is a lot. And you have Trey Flowers making a pick. You don't have Trey Hendrickson or Sam Hubbard out there. Like you don't have Cheeto out there. Like there's guys all over the field that you haven't heard of before this season making plays. And it's going to take an effort like that to slow down Josh Allen and company on Monday night in probably the biggest regular season Bengals game since when? I mean, I'm trying to think of.
I'm getting Monday Night Football 2014 Bronco vibes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that. I saw someone, maybe if you tweeted it, I saw it.
I saw the tweet. I'm just copying it. So whoever.
Yeah,
said
no, I agree. It's good.
But I 100% agree with it.
It's going to be a different.
I got to ask you, do you really think that's a bigger game than the first Kansas City game last year?
I was thinking.
Well, the first Kansas City game, you still had another week to win the division, right?
Which we still have now.
Yeah.
Right. I just.
Yeah, because that team hadn't been there. That was we were trying to figure out this team, how good the team was.
Yeah, I think maybe that Kansas City game last year probably might trump that Monday night game.
Well, you can look at it 2 ways. Now you have the expectation that you should be winning these games.
Oh, there'll be a different feel. I wasn't in the stadium for that game, but the feel is totally different now because there's an anticipation. Where last year it was like, oh God, how the hell do we beat this team? Can it really happen? I think more people expect them to win this game than lose it in Cincinnati because they've just seen it now. This team just finds a way.
Right.
We're also fighting for a number 1 seed. It's a little different than last year too. So you're going for that first week bye is what we're going for. We're trying to get that, and it's right there. If Kansas City would just suck just enough, they've been just good enough to beat these horrible teams like the Texans. If they could just suck just a tiny bit more against one of these teams and lose one, it's right there.
Hey, Brandon, Mike, I got a question. What is it like? Do you have, obviously, this is the first time I think in all of us fellows Bengals fans, can you agree? Do you think we, as everybody has this mentality, we can beat anybody?
Hell yeah, because they've proven it.
Exactly. How does it fit? Do you think fans, not just the team, don't you think fans also need to have that mentality too? Not just the players, but the fans also.
Oh yeah, I think fans do. I mean, shit, the way they proved it, they beat Kansas City 3 times in a calendar year. Like, hey, if they beat Buffalo, I mean, the Banks is going to burn down on Monday night, and I might be there joining them. Like, it's crazy because you expect when you're a Cincinnati fan, not just Bengals, but when you're a Cincinnati fan for so long before last season's Super Bowl run, you expected whenever there's a bad break, it's going to go for it's going to go against you,
right?
And now it's like you have Burrow or you have this defense. Like there's just a different level of confidence that they're going to go out and win. Now people ask the question, maybe you guys can answer this how you want to, but would you rather in the AFC Championship play Buffalo or play Kansas City?
Where am I at?
Huh?
Where am I at?
Don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying either way.
If I have to go to Buffalo, I'm going to say absolutely not.
I don't.
I'm saying Kansas City either way, just because.
Yeah, I picked Kansas City, but I just don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm just tired of hearing the negatives. Oh, they haven't won here since this. They haven't won here since that. I just don't care anymore. Bring it on.
Just checking them off one by one.
Just check it off one by one. I don't care. We haven't won New England since '86. Guess what? We've taken care of. We haven't beaten the Browns in a while. Guess what? Taken care of. I just don't care anymore. I'm just tired of hearing people telling me, oh, Greg, they haven't done this in long. I just don't care anymore. Bring it on.
I think what's really cool about Monday night is this is the only team in the AFC that is a really good team. And I'm not saying elite, but just really good, counting the Chargers and Miami and some of these other teams that we haven't played yet. This is the only matchup that we have not seen since the Bengals have become this version of the Bengals. I want to see how they match up with Josh Allen and company.
It's going to be fun. Are you going to the game, Brandon?
As of now, no. That might change as we get closer and I get more excited about it.
I think all four of us, are going to be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be down. We'll be down at Bengal Bomb Squad. We might not be down there for long because I don't get off work till 5, and then I got to go down and pick Bengal Dad up at work because he can't drive himself because he's being.
It's
lazy.
on the way to the game.
He's being lazy.
It happens. I've been there.
I don't know how many times you told me over the course of my life I'm being lazy. I finally get to tell you you're being lazy. All right.
You can sit in the back of the car.
That's fine. 3 rows. I'll spread out. We'll be good to go. With that being said, Cincy James, do you have any stats in the game you want to tell us?
Yeah, I got a few. I threw a couple of them out already. I'll put this up here. So we talked about Burrow. Mixon was 16. Do what?
It's a fumble.
Yes, that is a fumble. I agree.
I'll scream that till the day I die.
That's why I used this picture because of that conversation. But Mixon was he had 16 rushes for 65 yards. In case you're wondering what P. Ryan did, he had 4 rushes for 3 yards. So not great. And his long was 3. So you take that away, he was 0 yards a carry. Higgins could have got a game ball from us. 8 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. 285 yards total offense for the Patriots. The Bengals defense, they got 4 sacks, and don't look now, but Joseph Osai is 3rd on the team in sacks with 2.5. Take that for what you will. And they had one limited time. Yes. And the tight ends for the Bengals, they had 8 targets. They had 8 receptions. Not for a lot of yards, but they were catching everything that was thrown to them. Mitchell Wilcox was 6 for 6.
If Wilcox doesn't watch out, he's going to pass Drew Sample in yards by the end of the year, career yards.
Watch out.
Yeah, those were and actually we talked about Trey Hendrickson just a touch. Would you be shocked, or would you think this is probably what should have happened if I tell you that Trey Hendrickson played 43% of the snaps?
I wouldn't be shocked because that guy's tough as hell.
I agree.
Yeah, broken wrist, 43%. That I thought that he might get in there for just a little bit, like 15, 20%, and he played damn near half the game.
Yeah, I was impressed. I mean, and he was getting there too. It wasn't like he was a 43% where it's like, oh yeah, he's out there. Oh my God, it's 43%. And he's still pushing the pocket.
He had Mac Jones sack on that one play. He was coming around. He had one more second, that one big 3rd down. He would have swapped the ball out of his hand, but he still did a hell of a job.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all
Greg,
I had.
I think it's time for your favorite segment, Greg. We'll get ready to wrap it up here after this. Lutherisms. First one on the books. LaDainian Tomlinson.
LT is like chain spicy chicken from PF Chang's. It's dominant. I get it all the time I go there. I love it. And it's got that killer spice because he always spices up the game. LaDainian Tomlinson, if y'all remember that game in 2006, that painful game.
Oh, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
Okay. That's what he is there. Chain spicy chicken. Just dominant every time you get it.
All right.
And
next,
Santori likes to change what.
Yeah,
I make them oddly vague and sometimes gross.
Yes.
It's okay.
All right.
Justin Herbert.
Okay, I had to be careful with this because I didn't want to name something too good because it would have made it sound like I preferred Herbert over Burrow. So I came to an agreement here. He's like salmon, delightful, reliable, with a good strong taste. I like salmon, but it's nothing like a Jeff Ruby steak, which what Burrow is.
Herbert is gross.
There you go.
Clip that and put it on. Tag that to some Chargers forums.
Out of context. Next, Peyton Manning.
I swear to you guys, this is so random, but he is a chicken parmesan. And he didn't. I didn't like it at first, but it's amazing. If you remember the old saying, "Chicken parm, you taste so good."
I don't.
You don't remember the Nationwide commercial?
You don't remember that Nationwide commercial?
You would sing the Nationwide theme
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Chicken parm, you taste so good. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
we're losing Brandon here. He's like, I am so done with this show. Never coming back on.
No, I didn't say that.
All right. We're
Brandon's-
gonna tug at Brandon's heartstrings here.
Rand will not know this.
Alec Pierce.
Here's what he is. He's like plain rice right now, but he could be better if he had the right course with him, meaning he doesn't have a quarterback. I am letting him off this year. You need something to go with Rice. Yeah, that's exactly it right now.
I actually have one for Alec Pierce.
Okay.
He's like bourbon, except before it's aged. Like after a few years, you know he's going to be good, but right now he's just not there yet.
Yeah,
Got it.
Corn juice.
could be worse.
All right, Brandon. We've been waiting.
Sam Hubbard is Montgomery and Ribs. The hometown feel, consistently good, not too flashy, but always going to deliver and leave you happy.
Perfect.
Oh, man.
I do the game right.
Dude.
Yes, you did.
Oh, man. I like that, man. Awesome.
You even threw the hometown feel in there. Oh,
Listen, I write for a living. I got it. I didn't even write that. That was right here.
Brandon, you aced it, bro. That was awesome.
we'll bring you on just for that each week. You
Here we
just do one random one.
That was fun.
Well, Brandon, thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. I appreciate everything you're doing with the mental game. Kevin loves your mustache. We always like to give the last minute or two for our guests to plug anything they're working on. So if you've got anything that you're working on, whether it's the mental game or a mustache or charcuterie boards, whatever you're doing this time of year.
I got a Coors Light board. I don't really do the charcuterie board.
A Coors Light board. How does that work?
It's just Coors Lights that are on my ottoman that I haven't thrown away yet.
James had quite the collection of Rheingeist on my side table that one night.
I did.
They're still there.
There you go. You got to do some damage somewhere. No, just hopefully the Bengals keep the win streak going. I'll have this mustache all the way through the Super Bowl, and we'll be celebrating in Arizona. But just for me, the mental game is all I'm really working on right now. Tomorrow's episode comes out at 8. It is Cal Scrooby. He's a rapper that lives out in LA. He's from Cincinnati, went to King's High School, did a song with Chris Brown a few years back, and has really become a staple in music out in LA and has a really unique sound to him. But he's a guy that I've known for about 10 years now. So super cool to get him on the show. Hey.
Say hi,
Hi, Matt.
Brandon.
Now I'll say all the good words.
For my bedtime.
Past your bedtime?
It's almost time for bedtime, is
Yeah.
what she said.
It's almost my bedtime too.
Right? You want to say good night to everybody?
So good night.
Good night, Maddie.
All right.
See you in the next podcast.
See you next podcast.
That's awesome.
And then my son wants to hop in here too.
Yeah.
Peace.
So
You want to say hi to Brandon?
Brandon.
Hey, how are you? Look, you got the AFC Championship gear on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. He knows. He's pumped because he got Bengals tickets for Christmas.
Yep.
Oh, what's the Bills game?
Yeah, we're going to the Bills, the Monday Night Football Bills game, and the Ravens game.
Ooh, man.
Double trouble.
Hey, Mason, I've known about that for like 2 months.
Yeah, Mason, we've known about it, man. But Mason, I just found out I'm going to the Bills game too, man. But I'm not making any bets with you anymore, man. You're clearing up my bank account, bro.
All right, you want to say bye to everybody?
Yeah. See ya.
So, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, that's awesome. All about the fam jam there. That's fun. Yeah, no, just the mental game. It's all I'm doing right now, really, and it's been fun so far seeing the reception. So just if you search the mental game or my name anywhere on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast, it'll be there. And that's the main thing, is just trying to get people to open up about mental health and help break that stigma.
All right.
I love it. I applaud you, sir.
Yep.
Absolutely, buddy. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you. And I appreciate you guys having me on. And I see you guys retweet stuff all the time. So thank you for that. It's been cool to kind of get to interact more than I have in past seasons, because I
That's
can
100% him. He's got access to the account. If I go on there, it's just something impeccably sarcastic. Like it's Jekyll and Hyde when him and I are managing that account.
I take care of Facebook and Instagram. I just try to be creative and just send it there too.
It's all about balances.
Yeah, James will say something like, hey, at this person, you should come on and talk about this on our show with these people, and this will be great. And I'll jump on there. And I'm like, Cleveland Browns are dog water. Screw you and your fans. And it's like, wow, there's a totally different vibe right now from this account.
You're gonna end up like Zim.
I know, man. I'm gonna get banned.
Freeze him.
That's right. Freeze him.
Freeze him. He was on our show a couple weeks ago, by the way.
Yeah,
He's great. I love that
He's a
guy.
good dude. I don't really know what happened there. I'm sure he said something off color when he was fired up, and that was about all she wrote.
Freeze him.
There you go.
Right. Well, hey, I appreciate everything, Brandon. Appreciate all the time tonight. And I guess it's time for our sign off. For all of us here at Rally Around the Natty, I'm Santori Miles, Cincy James, Bengal Dad, Brandon Saho, Greg Luther. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Tip your waitress.